Another day, another bit of sad news for the former American empire. Once again, we have another nail in the coffin of the US dollar. And of all places of great historical importance in paper dollar systems that have failed and unbelievable devaluations occurred and hyperinflation of epic proportions also occurred in this particular country. It has been referenced over and over and over again throughout recent history when referring to fiat currencies being devalued, being printed out of control. And that is, my friends, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe grants not the US dollar, not the euro, hell, not even the baskets of currencies in the IMFs, the IDR. IDR, SDR. I'm thinking of Cliff High's WebBot stuff, IDR, Immediacy Data Report. No, SDR, Special Drawing Rights. That's the IMF currency. No, none of the above. Keep going. You got it. Chinese yuan. Zimbabwe grants Chinese yuan official currency. Again, I thought this is America. Isn't this America? I thought countries wanted to be us and dictators wanted to rule us. Wait a minute. We might already have that. Just kidding. Or am I? China forgives $40 million in debt in exchange for official currency status for the yuan. This is courtesy of Silver Doctors. During the famous Zimbabwe hyperinflation of the mid-2000s, again, that's what I'm referring to, very well known throughout the world what happened there, residents of that nation survived by abandoning their nation's currency and engaging in barter and using US dollars and South African rand. In a new deal reported by Reuters, Zimbabwe will recognize the Chinese yuan, or renminbi, as an official currency. So last time they all ran to US dollars and the South African rand. This time, we're going to China. You remember what old Lindsey Williams said? I don't know, once or twice or 400 times. No, not get a paper and pencil to write this down. No, you're right, but no, not that. China. Watch China, he was told. China's the big one. And indeed, I keep hearing that name so frequently. So they've agreed to write off 40, right? So Zimbabwe will recognize the Chinese renminbi or yuan as an official currency. In exchange, China will forgive $40 million of the over $1 billion in loans it has made Zimbabwe. Now that's odd. I'll tell you why. What is 40 million compared to 1 billion? Drop in the bucket. However, it's something. And anything is better than nothing, right? Something's better than nothing. So they're going to forgive $40 million in loans out of the $1 billion in loans currently outstanding. And, in exchange for letting them as in Zimbabwe, use the Chinese dollar as their currency. China has invested heavily in Zimbabwe and recently loaned $1 billion to help Zimbabwe to build a thermal power plant. Now, that's another important thing. Why? Because when you have to import energy or pay outsiders for your energy, they can do all kinds of things to you and say, oh, you owe us that bill. Remember that story I always told you about? As long as your country, whatever country that may be, has everything it needs to operate. Even if, we don't have this or that, but we could easily build those and have those here. If that counts too. You don't have to worry about the outside world. That's great. You don't have to deal with this money crap the way we deal with it. Interest, printing money at interest and all that crap. You can print your own money. No interest. The government pays and funds itself. And if it needs more funding, it just prints more money. It's not backed by these treasury bonds and all this interest-bearing crap. But if you are a country that doesn't have your own electricity or the capability to produce your own electricity, you got to rely on the outside world, such as a third world country. Well, you find yourself in a bind, and that bind is political powers fighting over whatever resources your country has anyways, while the citizens suffer greatly. So the fact that China has loaned them $1 billion to help them build a thermal power plant is a good sign for the people. Not a good sign for the powers that be, because that's just another mechanism of control that is slipping away from them. So China's hooking a brother up. Under the agreement, Chinese tourists can use the yuan to pay for hotels and services in the country, and Zimbabwe can use those yuan to pay China back for the loans that it has extended. Since the Zimbabwe government will be using yuan to pay its Chinese debts, we expect the yuan to gain acceptance among Zimbabwe residents as a day-to-day currency. I will absolutely positively agree to that. That is exactly what's going to happen. They're probably doing it this way so that the citizens of Zimbabwe maybe don't get too, oh, what's going on? But I don't think they would anyways. They're going to remember, oh my God, remember what happened last time? No, we welcome that with open arms. As Journey once said, open arms. Zimbabwe announced this past summer that it would be phasing out the Zimbabwe dollar, and many thought that the US dollar would get the nod as the country's official currency. Wrong. You know what? Let's do it. My game show's not ready yet. You know, my other channel. But as I said, I do have some sounds. Just go ahead and get that ready again. Just you know, for fun. Let me turn the volume up a little bit. Name the country. True or false? Is the United States dollar going to replace the Zimbabwe dollar in the very near future, as they are looking for a new currency to replace theirs that they can use that's trustworthy? I'm going to say correct. Of course, the United States dollar, we're the world's reserve currency, so yes, that's true. Oh, I'm sorry. That is incorrect. The proper answer was the Chinese yuan or renminbi, or the Chinese dollar would be also accepted. Moving along, question number 2. Just kidding. I can't continue because this isn't the game show yet. But you can expect some stuff like that from the game show. And I would love, like I said, love to be able to send out some silver as a prize for playing on the game show. If you haven't heard of it, my other channel is The Political Game Show. It's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure all my videos have a link to it on the description box. You can join there. Join as in subscribe, even though nothing's happening yet. In preparation, because when it does go live, I'm going to send out a blast. Hey, everybody, if you want to get on the show, sign up. Go to the website, and here's how you do it. And I'll have to randomly, take some people or something. But anyways, back to the story. Wrong. You lose. Good day, sir. It is not the U.S. dollar. The Zimbabwe/Chinese yuan deal highlights that the dollar isn't the only currency in town. And I'll venture and say it's on its way out of town. While the Zimbabwe dollar became nearly worthless years ago, it has stabilized and risen from its small base against gold the past 2 years. China, the United States, Europe, Africa, and the rest of the world, a little subsection. China has large trade account surpluses with the United States and Europe and has been integrating with the West's economic system, or systems. The deal with Zimbabwe comes soon after the announcement that China will be admitted to the International Monetary Fund's Strategic Drawing Rights, or SDR. I thought it was called Special Drawing Rights, but whatever. Basket of currencies. China, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it is. China has also been developing trade with countries outside the Western countries' sphere of influence, like Russia, Brazil, and others. China has accumulated over 1.3 trillion U.S. Treasury bonds and has begun to slowly sell off some of its holdings as it diversifies and de-dollarizes, if you will, some of its assets and reserves into projects in Africa and into gold. China continues to grow solid gold reserves, as we've seen. They're buying gold out of control, for lack of a better phrase. China has had active gold mining operations in Africa for years. Some legal and, yes, some illegal. There was a show I was watching, I don't know, was it 2-3 years ago? I can't think what it was called, but the area in Africa that these two guys were Guyana, I think. And they were getting like robbed, and they're out in the middle of the, these sand pit areas digging, for this gold, and it was terrible. These two guys, I think I commented on it when it happened. I said, these two guys, one was trying to be like an ultimate fighter, UFC guy, really wasn't panning out too good for him. The other guy, I forget what he was in. I want to say real estate maybe. Both of the guys had, not McMansions, but, nice houses, living the old American dream, got way too much, didn't have the bills to pay for it, did what everybody else does. Oh, just put on a credit card, put on credit, and just struggle to pay the bills. And they realized there's got to be something better than this. They had this idea to go to Africa, mine for gold, we'll pay off all this debt. They owed like a few $100,000 each to something in debt. Not just like mortgage. I think one of them owed like back payments on his mortgage. He didn't want to lose his house. So, of course, they're leaving their family and their kids, and they go there. I cannot think of the name of the show. But it was nice to see these two guys try. You know what I mean? They gave it their all. They did. But they did have to have some help investment-wise. They got it a couple different times. And then the show ended when I think the last thing that happened to them was they pretty much got robbed at gunpoint. And they really couldn't recover too much from that. And it just, then like they heard something on the radio, like these two Americans are wanted for questioning, and they're taking their gold, and, they're like, hey, well, we're allowed to be here. And while they were there, where I'm going with the whole story, they're like, oh, this is our land. This is supposed to be our spot. It's on the map. What the hell are all these Chinese people doing here? And they've got guns on them. Hey, they're on our spot. So he's like, the tough guy wants to go run up to the Chinese. What the hell are you doing? Get out of that dozer. This is our spot. The other guy's like, no, stop, you idiot. We're in another country. These guys got guns. Well, they're supposed to be here now. What the hell are you doing? Like, calm down. Long story short, yeah, well, let's go move on. Let's go find another spot. So, yes, the Chinese have been there for so many years, legally and illegally. China has plans to invest $1 trillion in Africa over the next decade, and we expect China to continue to develop trade with African nationals and to see the Chinese yuan gradually gain increasing acceptance on the continent. I would also agree. It's not just going to be Zimbabwe. Other countries within Africa are going to say, that was like the epic failure of all failures in this whole continent. They're doing pretty good now that they did that. Maybe we should. And then the next thing you know, again, Lindsey Williams, watch China. China's the big one. China will be the big one. It is the big one. So, this is just another nail in the coffin. Unfortunately, the U.S. dollar. What are our wonderful leaders going to do about this? There's 3 things. And these are known as the 3 things. And you have my permission to use these anytime you want. Anytime anyone gives you any trouble or a little back talk, anything, you've done something, why'd you do that? I did it, it's done. And there's 3 things you can do about it. What's that? Accept it, respect it, and get over it. That's what you tell them. You can do the 3 things about that. What's that? Accept it, respect it, and get over it. Oh, and it might be painful on the way down. Hope you got some precious metals for protection.